Hello and welcome to your, I believe, fourth C# tutorial. And in this tutorial, we're gonna write some more stuff on the screen, and I will show you a few different ways of manipulating string or text, as I mentioned in the last tutorial. Um, so in the last tutorial, I'm just gonna run it again to show some text, and that's it. You can either close it or press enter, and it'll end. But what if we wanted to have multiple lines? Well, one of the more obvious ways is you can either just copy it, paste it again right here. If I run it, it'll show it, but it's not on the same line. Why is it doing that? Well, let's just get rid of this and write in console dot. And now, as I mentioned last time, there are two write methods. One is write and one is write line. So the thing that write does is it'll take what you wrote and it will put that on the screen exactly. Okay, it's not going to do anything special. It's just simply taking what you're giving it and it's going to write it. But what I want to do is I want the cursor on the console to move to the next line, right? I want it to go down, so the next time I do the write method, I want it to move down a line. Um, so there's a couple of different, well, actually more than a couple, but I'm only going to cover, I believe, maybe three ways of doing it. But one of the most simpler ways is if you know, after you're done writing something, you're definitely going to have the cursor move to the next line. Well, in that case, just use the write line method instead. Okay. If you read the description, it says write the text representation of the specified array of objects, just a fancy way of saying the text, writes the text on the screen followed by the current line terminator, so the output stream using so basically it moves to the next line is essentially saying, it's just really high-tech way of saying after it's done writing what you give it, it's going to move to the next line. All right, so you go write line, and just like the last write method, it's the same thing. You just want to give it something within the quotes. Just type in, this is text. So if I run it with just one line, you're not going to notice anything different just by looking at it. But one of the things that you can see is the cursor, this blinking little underscore thing, is on the next line. It's so if you start typing yourself, it's on the next line. It's not no longer up here. So that's great. So if I type in the same thing, let's say console dot write line, and I can type in text2 or whatever. If I type, it's going to be on the next line. It's not doing the same thing it was doing last time. All right, so that's one of the techniques you can do. If you want the text to look a certain way, you can use write line, or a combination of write and write line. So that's one way of doing it. The other way of doing it is by using something in C# which is called a escape character, or I believe escape sequence. There's actually a bunch of them which you can use, and the best way of looking at all of them, if you go to the internet and look up list of C# escape characters. I believe escape sequences is the correct term, but this is the website hosted by Microsoft, and as you know, C# is managed by Microsoft, so all the documentation and everything is going to be on MSDN. It's very helpful, and I actually encourage everyone to go take a look at MSDN if you're running into problems or whatever. So close that. So if you go down here, you can see the escape sequence and what it represents. So what we want is move over to the new line. So if we just go through this, there we go, new line. Now it's slash or backslash n. So how do you use it? Okay, so you can go down. Actually, I don't think it gives any examples, but yeah, I don't think so. But whatever, I'll show you guys how you use that. So um, inside of your quotation marks, um, what you want to do is you want to write the escape character or sequence inside of them. Okay, so you can't have the \n right here. I can type it, but it's going to give me an error. Okay, I can't even have it outside of the quotes, but inside the brackets I can't have that, right? But we want the next line to happen um, right after I type in this, right? So actually, just to show you this a little bit better, I'm gonna get rid of the right line, so just using the right method, and I'm actually gonna copy it and then type it twice. Okay, so if you run it, it's gonna be on one line, right? This is some text, and there's not even a space, right? So what we want to do is right after this T, we want to have the cursor move over to the next line. So what you want to do is type in \n, okay, and that's how you move over to the next line. So if you're looking at it, you go, well, isn't that thing like you're just writing it within the string? Like, isn't it going to be printed? Well, no, because it's an escape sequence. It's not going to be printed. You're not going to be able to see it, but basically when Visual Studio looks at this, it goes, oh, you want to move over to the next line. And in order, and there, like I said, all of these, if you go back to the internet and you look at them, all of the escape sequences, they begin with a backslash. Okay? So if I basically took out n, right, there's an error. Uh, so if you look at the errors, there's new line constant, or all this stuff is expected. It just goes crazy because it says there's no escape sequence, which is backslash and then quote. Okay, so you need to have the n in there. So if we run it, it shows up this is some text a couple of times. So now you're saying, well, what if I want my text to include the backslash? What if I want to show the backslash? How do I do that? Because if we just leave it like that, it's not gonna work, right? So one of the ways you can do it is if you go and type in backslash twice, it'll work. Okay, so if I run it again, it actually shows the backslash. Alright, so that's one way of doing it. Like I said, backslash n, run it, it's on the next line, so that's cool. There is another way of doing it, which a lot of you probably will not use. I know I don't use it. And what's that way of doing it is if you type in right after the string, okay, so out of the quotes, type in plus, you type in environment dot new line. Okay, if I get rid of that, now if I run it, it's the same thing. It's going over to the next line. But like I said, you're not gonna really use it because it's just typing a whole bunch of stuff for very simple things, something that you can either use by doing right line or just backslash n. It's way simpler. But that's one way of doing it, and it has its advantages, but and there's a whole bunch of different things in the environment namespace that I just showed you. If I go to environment dot, there's a whole bunch of stuff. Again, you can look at it and see what it does, but for right now we're not going to cover it. Okay, so that's how you basically write stuff on two lines. So we've covered the backslash n, the escape character, and the write line method. Alright, so that's it for this tutorial, and I'll see you guys in the next one.